Heat number 13 of the 1987 Inaugural World Sprint Car Championship, featuring the two leading point scorers off row 1. Ron Cricky off the pole. Alongside him is Steve Brazier, but the caution lights come on. The stewards are not happy with that start. It looked like the drivers were very towy at the beginning of that heat. The caution lights have come on, and the drivers are being told to hold position, slow down. There is a white line just 30 metres before the start-finish line, and there it is on screen now, and the drivers cannot start racing until they get up to this line. They now come out of turn number 4. This time it was a perfect dispatch, and getaway there was car number 99 from Western Australia. That is Ron Cricky. In second place is the New South Wales champion, Steve Brazier, as they pour on the speed down the back straight into turn number 3 and 4, and this is World Sprint Car action at its best. Steve Brazier straight under Ron Cricky. This is absolutely mind-blowing speedway action now, with Steve Brazier out in front. That's the New South Wales champion. They call him Steamin' Steve Brazier, and he is turning on the speed in front of this crowd of almost 15,000 Speedway fans have gathered to watch this second night of the World Sprint Car Championship. Ron Cricky from Western Australia is in second place. Then back into third position is the New South Wales driver George Tatnell, and a great battle going on back through the field with Shane Carson running in about sixth position. There he is just on screen, but have a look at this man out in front. Steve Brazier, well and truly dialed into this big Claremont Speedway circuit here in Western Australia, hosting this inaugural World Sprint Car Championship, and the cameraman working overtime to bring you these brilliant action shots now. Steve Brazier still out in front. In second place is Ron Cricky. Then back to George Tatnell, car number 5 from New South Wales, but the lights are on. We've got a spin on the top part of the circuit. The caution lights are on. One car's gone sideways. We'll see him on screen any moment. There he is, the South Australian driver Wayne Bunker. No, it isn't. It's Dennis Burford has turned it around. Car number 9. Dennis Burford has spun the car right in the middle of turn number 4, and we'll pick this very exciting Heat 13 of the World Sprint Car Championship up at the restart. Drivers coming around now for the restart of Heat number 13 of the 1987 World Sprint Car Championship, all part of the America's Cup Festival of Sport. The New South Wales champion, Steve Brazier, is off the front of the field, and they're under racing condition now. Off the end of the main straight goes the big pack of sprint cars. In second place is the West Australian driver, Ron Cricky. Then back to New South Wales, car number 5, George Tatnell. Right behind him is the other West Australian driver, John Cricky, car number 17. But our race leader, onto the main straight he comes at a very high rate of knots indeed. He'd be travelling at approximately 100 mile an hour around this big Claremont Speedway circuit here in Western Australia. From New South Wales, the man that won the New South Wales title only 2 weeks ago on his home track, Parramatta. A very fast speedway track, not quite the same size as this big circuit here in Western Australia. And Steve Brazier, his first ever drive on the big Claremont Speedway track was at this World Sprint Car title, so he certainly has adapted himself extremely well. There he is, car number 58, with just 3 laps remaining of heat number 13. Steamin' Steve Brazier, well and truly turning on the power, and now as he established a lead of somewhere around about 200 metres between him and first place. There is the distance. Ron Cricky still in second position, car number 99 from Western Australia. Steve Brazier is a former 2 times Australian champion, and the man in second place, Ron Cricky, is a former Australian champion. And the man behind him, car number 5 from New South Wales, George Tatnell, there he is on screen, is a former 3 times Australian speed car title holder before he ventured into sprint cars several seasons ago. But the man out in front has the white flag, and he's racing for the checkered flag, and that is the New South Wales driver coming around now to receive the checkered flag, Steamin' Steve Brazier from New South Wales. A brilliant drive by him. In second place was the WA driver Ron Cricky. Then back to New South Wales 5, George Tatnell, and the time for the last 6 laps was a 1:42.51. That was the win's time for the last 6 laps.
Heat number 14 lined up now for the 87 World Sprint Car Championships, and by gee, it's going to be on with a vengeance here. They run out of time to start gaining those all-important points. Off and racing this time, and it's Australia's Gary Rush Whole Shots leads the charge into turn number 1 ahead of Rocky Hodges in the number 1 car. And while talking about Rocky Hodges, 1:30 a.m. this morning, working on the car after the first night here last night at Claremont Speedway in Western Australia, blowing up a right rear tyre, and the tyre exploded on him, cutting his arm very badly, bruising his ribs and severe facial lacerations. Didn't get out of hospital till about 5 a.m. this morning, and here he is competing in night 2 of the World Sprint Car Championship. Well, that's guts personified for you, and back with the race leader, 25, Gary Rush from Rocky Hodges, then to like Bill Barrows, I think, into that, no, it's in actual fact Brett Lacey, the current Australian National Sprint Car Champion. He's in the 3rd place, but there goes Gary Rush ahead of Rocky Hodges, the man I was just talking about, who injured himself last night and doing a great job out there, driving in severe pain. There he is, Gary Rush, 7 times Australian Sprint Car Champion, currently leading this heat number 14. Rocky Hodges keeping him very, very honest indeed as they charge off turn number 2. Brett Lacey back there in 3rd, but there goes Gary Rush. Absolutely brilliant, and there's the gap. Nothing in it at all. Probably 2 car lengths between 1st and 2nd. Gary Rush from Rocky Hodges, and then to Brett Lacey. He's followed through there by number 6, Ian Bradford, in the number 6 car. Down the back straight away once again, and there's the man hard at work behind the steering wheel of the number 25 car. The man in a hurry, aptly named Gary Rush. There's a beautiful shot there of the USA top liner in Rocky Hodges. Has raced here quite extensively in Perth, Western Australia over the last 3 or 4 years, and always enjoys his racing in Western Australia. Here comes Gary Rush once again. 7 down and 3 to go. Rush leads from Hodges. In the 3rd place is Brett Lacey. Followed through there in the number 6 black and gold car from Western Australia, Ian Bradford. Positions unchanged now as Hodges starts to claw his way back. Right into contention in this one. Clawing his way up onto the tail of the Gary Rush number 25 car as they smoke it off turn number 2. Go down the back straight away. Pressure aplenty out there at the moment. And Hodges starts to climb right inside the cab. There with Gary Rush as the white flag is held out. 9 completed and 1 to go. Very quick indeed. Rush from Hodges, and then back to Brett Lacey and Ian Bradford. Very evenly spaced the front 4 cars, but it's all Gary Rush on the run for the wire. Checkered flag out, and Gary Rush takes the win over the American Rocky Hodges in 3rd. It was Australia's number 1, just won only some 6-8 weeks ago, the Australian Sprint Car Championship. For 3rd in that heat was Brett Lacey. 4th there went to number 6 in Ian Bradford. But a great win going the way of Gary Rush. 10-lap time was 2 minutes 58.08.
Drivers coming around now for a start for heat number 15 of the World Sprint Car Championship, night number 2. Qualifying heat number 15, and the 16-year-old driver, Stephen Arrigo, leads them away in 2nd place. There on the outside is the American driver. That is the young 15-year-old Jeff Gordon. He goes back to about 3rd place because the man in 2nd position is Jimmy Sauls. Absolutely off the planet tonight. This is absolute world-class sprint car racing here at Claremont Speedway in Western Australia. The 16-year-old driver, Stephen Arrigo, who crashed in his last heat, now has rebuilt the front end of the car with the help of his hard-working crew, and he's back out on the racetrack driving a very hard and determined race. Car number 12 from the Northern Territory. Here's the current NT champion, a driver who has only been competing in sprint cars for 10 months, and he is now leading this heat number 15 of the 1987 World Sprint Car title. The man in 2nd place is Jimmy Sauls, a very experienced campaigner, formerly from Sacramento in America. A very experienced man, and goes by the nickname of Buckwheat, Jimmy Sauls. In 3rd place is the Victorian driver, Max Boland, car number 20, but our race leader, what a brilliant performance being put on by this driver. Car number 12, Stephen Arrigo. As smoke starts to come off the track now, the hard-working rear tyres of these sprint cars well and truly working overtime on this big speedway track as the rubber starts to pour.
Off the cars, you can see the blackened part of the tracks now as the cars throw themselves into turn number 1, with Jimmy Sewell still in second place. This race is not over by any stretch of the imagination, I should say, because we have Stephen Arrigo just leading. Jimmy Sewell's in second place. Oh no, tragedy there. We're just about to see on screen Jeff Gordon, car number 16, has blown an inside tyre. That is the drive tyre that he has blown. And the 15-year-old American limps to the infield on board car number 16. Back with our race leader, car number 12 from the Northern Territory. Well, smoke starting to hinder these drivers as they race around now with just 3 laps remaining. And the protest flag coming out to the driver, causing this huge pall of smoke which is starting to hang over this Claremont Raceway. That is the New Zealand driver, Ian Easton, car number 11. But the action continues. Oh no, the race leader was almost wiped out there by the West Australian driver, Dave Thompson. He spun on turn number 1 and then crawled back onto the track, car number 40 on screen. Dave Thompson almost brought down the race leaders, car number 12 from the Northern Territory. 7 drivers remaining for the restart for heat number 15. And the young 16-year-old Stephen Arrigo just about to send him underway. There is the field contesting this restart. Drivers coming around now. They should be sent under racing orders this time as they move on to the main straight. Yes, they're up and racing this time. Arrigo's still out in front. Sewell's right on his tailpipe now. Car number 75 on screen. Then we go back to Max Boland. But our race leader there was Stephen Arrigo. Jimmy Sewell's in second. Then we go right back to the rest of the field with Max Boland, and right behind him is David Gratz. Sprint car racing at its very best being presented here. The inaugural World Sprint Car title in front of a crowd of about 15,000 people, and they're certainly enjoying every moment of this world-class speedway presentation. Stephen Arrigo out in front now, coming across the line to receive the checkered flag. A brilliant performance by him. In second place was the USA driver, car number 75. That was Jimmy Sewell's. Then back in third position, Victorian car number 20. That was Max Boland. Right behind him with the Northern Territory driver, car number 11, David Gratz. And the time for the last 2 laps, the win's time was a 35.35. Drivers coming around now for the B main qualifying feature. 25 laps, 17 cars, and a very important race indeed for these drivers, because only 4 of those 17 drivers can officially qualify for the 1987 inaugural World Sprint Car title, carrying prize money in excess of $53,000. And only 4 of those drivers can make it into that final. So those 17 cars, they have got nothing to lose. They have got 25 laps of racing. They must finish in the first 4. The green flag goes on and the race is underway. And car number 20 from America leads the way now, but we've got David Gratz here spun off the racetrack. That's the Northern Territory driver. Extremely bad luck for him, but Shane Carson from America, car number 20, is now about 100 metres out in front. The second place driver is the New Zealand champion, Lyndon Kendall. Moves out of turn number 2, down the back straight. This big pack of sprint cars, 17 in all, and only 4 drivers can qualify as they race down the back straight into turn number 3 and 4, and it's Shane Carson out in front. In second place is the New Zealand driver, Lyndon Kendall. Then we go back to Tony Matter, car number 29 from Western Australia, and the next best is car number, I think it's 20, yes it is, that's of course Randy Smith from America. But our race leader, car number 20 in the white car, that was what confused me. We've got 2 car number 20s and they're both from America, but the white car out in front is Shane Carson. The other car number 20 is the orange car of Randy Smith. But Shane Carson, I have never seen a race car driver work a car as much as what Shane Carson does. Those front wheels turn left, right and centre. There they are working overtime now on car number 20 as he races down the back straight into turn number 3 and 4. Just have a look at the way he's working that machine. Onto the main straight he comes. Shane Carson, our race leader. In second place is the New Zealand champion, Lyndon Kendall. Then we go back to Tony Matter, car number 29 from Western Australia. Car number 73, the pink car on screen is Kramer Williamson from Pennsylvania in the United States. Then back to the current state champion from WA. That is Lee Foster, the driver right behind him, giving him a very torrid time indeed, is the West Australian outlaw Des J. Nash. But back with our race leader. And this guy has had some extremely bad luck in the first two nights of qualifying. But now hopefully he has got car number 20 well and truly sorted out and dialed in to this very big racetrack here at Claremont in Western Australia, playing host to the inaugural World Sprint Car Championship for 1987. We've got drama packed back through the pack as Gary Satori, car number 40 from Western Australia, has exploded in a cloud of smoke. You can see the smoke there across the TV screen, and very shortly Shane Carson will be catching that car of Gary Satori. He is causing all sorts of problems on the racetrack. And there is the driver in question, Gary Satori, car number 41. The other driver involved in that merely was car number 11 from the Northern Territory, which was David Gratz. But our race leader, Shane Carson, well, what an incident-packed race this has been. But certainly not for the race leader, because Shane Carson has driven a precision race. That is car number 20. There he is on screen. Meanwhile, Gary Satori's car has exploded in flame on the infield. There it is. He was just being extinguished from the fast-moving fire crew here tonight. They moved very quickly onto Gary Satori's car. But have a look at Shane Carson working overtime behind the wheel of car number 20. And now he goes up to lap the slower cars with just 14 laps remaining. 14 laps remaining. And now to take you through the second half of this B-main qualifying for the 1987 World Sprint Car Championship. It's over to my fellow commentator this evening, Wayne Chuck Redmond.
Thanks very much, Brad. Yes, well, what an absolute blister this fellow is putting in. And that is Shane Carson from Pennsylvania. Absolutely flying and looking to get up and now into the big final, the 87 World Sprint Car Championship. By gee, this boy has had more than his fair share of bad luck over the previous two nights, but he is really coming good when it matters most. Shane Carson roaring around the Claremont Speedway circuit here in Perth, Western Australia, and he is absolutely driving off the planet. There goes Axie Boland there, and Lyndon Kendall in the number 12 car. Tony Matter from Western Australia in the number 29 car is starting to work his way up, but this fellow out in front is doing everything right, has built up a huge lead, absolutely smoking around the Claremont Speedway circuit at the moment. And this is Australian Speedway, world-class Speedway at its best. Absolutely flying now as Carson starts to weave his way through the slower traffic, and this is when it all comes down to the wire. When you happen to be this quick, it is very, very hard indeed to keep the concentration going and not miscue, if you like, when overlapping the slower traffic. It's all Shane Carson in that car right there, number 20. Beautiful line, hikes the left-hand front wheel, charges down off turn number 2, down the back straightaway, and absolutely unbelievable stuff. The timing clock clicking away over there, and Shane Carson hanging around in the mid 17-second laps, which is going to be more than good enough to take this man to the big win. Car number 20, with only 7 laps to go, Shane Carson doing it exceptionally well as he runs around there in the number 20 car. Tony Matter from Western Australia, car number 29, sitting in the second spot, about to come underneath the South Australian. Back then it was Lee Foster in the number 8 car from Western Australia, trying to see if he can get through. He's locked into that third place, but out, and there he goes, Lee Foster in the number 8 car. It is all Shane Carson out in front. He's enjoying about 200 metres out in front. Tony Matter's in second, Lee Foster's in third. Kramer Williamson from the USA, car number 73, is in fourth, and starting to close now on the boys in second and third. There's our race leader once again, car number 20 has not put a foot wrong, and the man is driving like a man possessed at the moment. He has done everything right to the letter. Kramer Williamson there in the number 73 car. Still in the fourth place now, looks to go around the outside. Tony Matter, car number 29, still in that second spot ahead of Lee Foster. We see our race leader now, Shane Carson, with only under 3 laps to go. In fact, just 2 laps to go for this man right here in car number 20. Shane Carson absolutely flying down the back straight away. That lead is probably stretched out to nearly half a lap. Tony Matter in second place. In third is Lee Foster. In fourth, Kramer Williamson from the United States of America. Our race leader has already received the Billy Barrows, number 75, spins onto the grass, manages to keep the car going, but here he comes, checkered flags out, and Shane Carson takes the win in devastating style there ahead of Tony Matter. In third place would have been Lee Foster ahead of Kramer Williamson, but what a great drive. Those 4 drivers now earn the right to go into the World Sprint Car Championship final. Wins time was 7 minutes 30.05.
20 of the world's fastest drivers from America and Australia are just about to be sent underway for 35 laps. They're off and racing. Steep Razor's gone sideways right in front of the oncoming traffic. Cars have gone left, right and centre. And we've got action aplenty on the raceway. What a disaster for the start of the world title. We've got several cars with blown tyres. Steve Brazier went sideways on the main straight. That is the New South Wales driver. There he is on camera. Jimmy Souls, that driver there, car number 75, has also blown a rear tyre. Oh, bits and pieces of race cars are being picked up. What a drama-packed beginning to this world final. There is the 15-year-old Jeff Gordon from America. I hope that his car is not badly damaged. There is Max Dumsney, the Victorian driver. Drama at the beginning of the 1987 World Sprint Car title. The drivers were racing before the officials had put the green lights on. It resulted in Steve Brazier from New South Wales going sideways on the main straight right in front of the 20-car field. The red lights have come on and will pick the 1987 Inaugural World Sprint Car Championship back up at the restart. Okay. Drama out on the racetrack at the moment. The drivers are not obeying the officials' orders. They are now getting into line at long last, and we could be getting this world final underway. We are, and this time it was a clean dispatch as they come off the end of the main straight now, race into turn number 1. And it's the West Australian driver, Ron Cricky, who moves into first place. And Alf Barbagallo from WA, the hometown heroes, are first and second. The former 7 times Australian champion, Gary Rush from New South Wales, has gone into third place. And the great news is that the young 15-year-old American, Jeff Gordon, is back in the race. He has been able to repair the car, and Jeff Gordon's back in the race in about position number 10. But there is the race leader, Ron Cricky, the 1985 Australian Sprint Car champion and a former 2 times West Australian champion, on his home track, performing in front of a huge crowd, estimated to between 18 and 20,000 race fans, as history is unfolding before our very eyes. The inaugural World Sprint Car title. The best drivers from Australia, New Zealand and America have been competing over the last 3 nights of racing, and now this is the culminating in the 1987 World Sprint Car title, with Ron Cricky leading from Western Australia, Alf Barbagallo in second place, then back to New South Wales 25. That of course is Gary Rush. Further back there too, we'll try to pick that driver up, could be David Gratz from the Northern Territory. If that is so, that's a brilliant drive by him. Or could it be Danny Lasowski? We'll try to pick that competitor up. It is Lasowski. Danny Lasowski from USA. Well, what a tremendous race it's being driven at the moment by Ron Cricky. Car number 99 from Western Australia. He is cleared right out now. He has about a 5-car length lead over Alf Barbagallo, and very shortly they'll be starting to lap the slower cars. Now this is where drama is going to happen. There is no question about that, because the lead cars are travelling considerably faster than the cars that they're just about to come up to lap. There is the first car that is going to be put a lap down on. That is Laurie Solgiovanni from the Northern Territory. And this is where the lead could change. Ron Cricky leading, but Alf Barbagallo is driving absolutely off the planet at the moment. He's well and truly up there in second place. In fact, Ron Cricky's gone wide. He has allowed Alf Barbagallo through, and also Gary Rush has moved up there. So Gary Rush has moved into second place. Ron Cricky has gone from first to third in less than a lap. Oh, drama unfolding before your very eyes. The inaugural World Sprint Car title for 1987. We see Alf Barbagallo from Western Australia in front. Gary Rush in second place. Back there to third place, car number 99, which is Ron Cricky. But this race is a long way from over. There is 25 laps remaining. 25 laps remaining, and now the race leaders are starting to lap the slower cars as Gary Rush moves into first place. Gary Rush from New South Wales, that was a beautiful piece of driving. He managed to stay all four wheels on the racetrack, and he has now moved into first place. Alf Barbagallo into second. Then way back to Ron Cricky from Western Australia in third. Danny Losowski from America in fourth. Further back to Jimmy Sauls in fifth place. Further again back to the young Northern Territory driver, that is Stephen Arrigo. But this is absolutely world-class sprint car racing. With the man on screen, Gary Rush, brilliant camera work there, as he now starts to move up on a slower competitor. So any moment, the West Australian champion, Lee Foster, isn't going to be lapped by Gary Rush. We'll pick them up as they come onto the main straight. There is Lee Foster. Gary Rush now starts to move up, and he goes under him. Oh, this time he bounced off the curb. He had about two wheels on the grass. Hopefully for him, the stewards weren't looking, but Gary Rush still leading. Smoke starts to pour off the back tyres, and this is going to be a very crucial time indeed for the race cars, because once the tyres go off, this is the saying we have in Speedway, once those tyres go off, that means the tyre is completely bald and it cannot work, it cannot get the traction it needs to keep the car racing at high speed, and the car becomes very bad in the handling department, and it starts to drift left, right and centre across the racetrack, and a driver can go from well, chocolates to boiled lollies in less than a few laps, and already smoke is starting to pour from the rear of car number 25. That is the huge big rear drive tyre, the tyre that gives Gary Rush the traction he needs to keep this car in A1 racing condition. Well, Gary Rush, our race leader, is coming up behind the American Shane Carson. The next car he'll be putting a lap on will be the American Rocky Hodges. So Gary Rush is driving a precision race at the moment, and I cannot speak highly enough of the former 7 times Australian champion. There he is, he's just past Shane Carson. Now he is coming up onto the rear of the blue car. That is Rocky Hodges from Des Moines, Iowa, in America. Gary Rush is just about to put a lap down on him. There he goes, flying by the inside of Rocky Hodges. Now he has his sights set on another slower car. The move over flag to the slower competitors given. It looks like Kramer Williamson from America is going to be the next driver who is going to be lapped by Gary Rush. Well, just recently the America's Cup was lost here in Western Australia. America reclaimed the America's Cup. It was a very sad day for Australia, but gee, Gary Rush is flying the flag high for Australia, because he want to make sure that the inaugural World Sprint Car title, the trophy, is kept here in Australia, and the way that he is lapping these Americans is treating this crowd of 18 to 20,000 fans, most of which are Australians. They are enjoying every moment of this. Well, the caution lights have come on. We've got a car in the fence. It is the young Northern Territory driver, Stephen Arrigo. He has gone heavily into the fence, and once again, the red lights have come on. That means that there will be a complete race stoppage. It is the young 16-year-old driver from the Northern Territory, Stephen Arrigo, has gone into the safety fence very heavily indeed, but it looks like he is okay. It looks like he is okay. That car crashed very heavily into the fence up there on the entrance to the main straight, and that is extremely bad luck to the man who was holding down in about 5th place. The ambulance crew just racing to his attendance. That is his father there with NT number 1. The person with the hand on Stephen's helmet, that is his father, Charlie Arrigo. Well, we certainly hope that that driver is not seriously hurt. The crash helmet is being removed, and looks like now we'll have to pick the inaugural World Sprint Car Championship up at the second restart.
Okay, mate, let's go around the gate. Oh, into buggering. I'd be better told.
The second restart now of the 1987 Inaugural World Sprint Car Championship. It's underway with just 14 laps remaining after a red light stop, which has involved the race crash of Stephen Arrigo, but Arrigo has been allowed to restart in his former position just prior to the crash. Well, action aplenty happening out on the raceway at the moment as drama is unfolding. This history-making speedway event being staged here at Claremont Speedway in Western Australia, with the New South Wales driver Gary Rush leading. In second place is the West Australian driver, car number 77, Elf Barbagallo. Then we go back to the American, Danny Losowski in third position. Then back to the American, that's Jimmy Buckwheat Sills. Further back there to the Australian champion, Brett Lacey, driving a very well-judged race indeed. Well, this is absolutely world-class sprint car action. You cannot see better. And this huge crowd tonight of 18 to 20,000 people, well and truly being entertained by the glamour division of Speedway. This $500,000 production with just 10 laps remaining. And it's Gary Rush, New South Wales leading. The local hero, Elf Barbagallo in second place. Danny Losowski in third from America. Then we go back to fellow American. That is, of course, Jimmy Buckwheat Sills, and further back to the Australian champion, Brett Lacey. Action aplenty on the raceway at the moment as we see car number 25, Gary Rush, still leading. There he is on screen as he powers through turn number 3 and 4, goes under Laurie Solgiovanni of the Northern Territory, puts another lap on him. So Gary Rush driving a precision race. Oh, the lights have come on once again. Kramer Williamson has gone up against the fence at the exit of turn number 2. The yellow lights are on. Kramer Williamson from America has spun just out of turn number 2. There he is on screen. It looks like he's okay, and that is great to see. And that is a battle-scarred race car. You can see Kramer Williamson has borrowed a wing from a fellow competitor because his wing was damaged in a race accident last night. But it looks like the race for Kramer Williamson, this world title, is well and truly over. As the caution lights come on, the drivers line up with just 8 laps remaining. And again, we'll pick the 1987 America's Cup Festival of Sport World Sprint Car Championship, this inaugural event being held here in Perth, Western Australia, back up at the restart. Restart number 3 underway with just 8 laps remaining of this world title, and it is incredible that we still have 19 cars on the raceway. Well, the action continues down the back straight with Gary Rush still in a commanding position. The West Australian driver, Elf Barbagallo, is in second place. Danny Losowski from America is in third. Then back to Jimmy Sills, followed by the Australian champion Brett Lacey. Further back to George Tatnell from New South Wales. Then the American driver Rocky Hodges. That's the blue car, I should say. Further back there to the Victorian driver Max Boland, car number 20. But our race leader, car 25 from New South Wales, a man who has mastered just about every racetrack in the land with just 5 laps remaining. 5 laps away from becoming the inaugural World Sprint Car title, and just 2 years ago on this very track, while in this same position, he blew a rear tyre. The rear tyre of his race car let go. It cost him the Australian title. And no doubt that Gary Rush could be thinking that if the horrors set in again, the same thing could happen. Let's certainly hope not, because he is now just 3.5 laps away from becoming the 1987 inaugural World Sprint Car title holder. There he is, Gary Rush. A brilliant drive. In second place, Alf Barbagallo, and Barbagallo's also driving the race of his life. There he is on screen, and the local crowd is absolutely going crazy because they know that Alf Barbagallo has done everything in his power to try to win this World Sprint Car title. There he is, car number 77, and he will not be disgraced at all. But our race leader has driven a superb race, and he comes up now with just over 1 lap remaining. So Gary Rush has 1 lap to go, and there he is as he races down the back straight for the final time. The checkered flag is coming out. This is the double checkered flag. It is coming out now to Gary Rush of New South Wales. In second place will go to Alf Barbagallo from Western Australia. In third position, Danny Losowski from America. In fourth position goes to car number 75 from America. That is Jimmy Buckwilt-Sills, followed by the Australian champion. Then we go back to George Tatnall. Looks like Rocky Hodges was the next best. Then back to either Max Boland from Victoria or Shane Carson. And the time for the last 8 laps, the wins time was 2:17.41. But the 1987 inaugural World Sprint Car champion is car number 25 from New South Wales, Gary Rush.
And now for the official presentations, and what a great drive, and a very, very proud man. It's over to Conmigro.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's no doubt about this man. No matter where he goes, if it's America, New Zealand, anywhere in Australia, he was without doubt, as I said before we introduced him tonight, he is the finest sprint car driver this country has ever produced. He has won 7 Australian titles, and then tonight, to cap off a wonderful speedway career, he is the 1987 inaugural World Sprint Car champion, Mr. Gary Rush, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that was just incredible, Gary. That was just amazing. Congratulations. Tremendous effort.
Gary, a guy that came up, he said you're going to crack the sub 15, so a consolation of an extra $50. I'm sure that'll help you. But Gary, it's been a great privilege and honour to invite you to come and race at the finest speedway track in this country and probably the world in my book. But you've done it very proud once again. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. Well, to win a race like this, you know, it's as Con said earlier, that it's capped off a great career, and you know, I don't know how long I'm going to go, but I'm enjoying racing at the moment, so we'll keep on enjoying it. And while I keep winning, I guess I'll keep on enjoying it. But you know, people don't realise how much work goes into cars like this, and we've changed motors twice in 2 days, and we went back to we run one motor on Thursday night, and we thought, well, we found a small problem with that, and then we changed another one for last night, so we went back to another one. But the guys that done all that work, I owe it all to them, because without them and all the other pit crews throughout Australia, you know, there would not be any racing, because there's a lot of work goes into these cars. And I thank all the pit crews, thank you very much, and I thank all the people for coming, and I thank my sponsors, Ivan Walker, Winfield and Agip Oils, and the Western Australian Government for putting on it, and Conmigro, the promoter, for putting on a very ambitious show like this. I thank you very much.
Danny Losowski, ladies and gentlemen.
One off the pace.